Hey there, Cinemaster fans!
I can see you now. I can see you now.
Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Our movie today begins with Olivia, who is celebrating her birthday with all her beloved friends. The first to arrive is Carrie. We see a little girl standing far away, singing. Carrie tries to approach her to play with her, but finds the girl's behavior very strange and feels that something is not normal. She runs back to her friend, hugs her as soon as she sees her, and gets very excited about the day they will spend together. She tells her that she injured her leg while playing sports and is very upset because the doctor asked her to stop playing sports for a while. Chris, her ex-boyfriend, arrives and greets them. Then Olivia appears in front of them dressed as a princess, looking very beautiful. However, the atmosphere suddenly changes when their friend Sarah arrives. We understand that Sarah is very wealthy and spoiled. Olivia asks Carrie to stay away from Sarah at the party to avoid any problems and to ensure the birthday goes smoothly. Olivia warmly welcomes all the guests, expressing her happiness that they are with her. She surprises them by announcing that she managed to get tickets to the biggest music concert in the country. She explains that if they leave early, they'll arrive by midnight at the latest, and they still have 2 days before the concert to prepare themselves. Michael, her boyfriend, arranges all the details needed for the trip. He gets a big bus for them to travel together and brings along his friend Jason, introducing him to the group. He tells them that Jason is a former soldier, serious, and doesn't easily warm up to people. Michael mentions that he got the cabin from his Uncle Grand, who asked him to take good care of it because it's very dear to him. Everyone is surprised by its unique decorations and the antiques hanging outside. The journey begins and everyone feels excited. They play music, dance, and enjoy themselves. Michael decides to make the first stop for anyone who wants to buy something. He jokingly tells them this is the last point where they'll see civilization because the road ahead will be very tough and they need to prepare well. At the stop, a strange driver starts bothering the girls with his comments, and his friend approaches Gabby, attempting to harass her. The situation escalates, but they continue their journey in the cabin, calming down as everything returns to normal. Suddenly, Jason feels something strange, and the cabin starts shaking. He abruptly stops the cabin without warning them and tells them that the driver and his friend are following them with apparent malicious intent. Everyone becomes nervous and scared. Because the cabin is large, Jason can't drive very fast. He asks everyone to hold on tightly to avoid getting hurt. Chris notices that one of the men is holding a gun and warns his friends. Luckily, none of the bullets hit anyone. Unfortunately, they take a completely wrong path just to escape and ensure their safety. After some time, they stop to rest and process what happened. Everyone thanks Jason for saving their lives. Carrie feels he is brave and thanks him. As usual, Sarah steals the spotlight and quickly gets close to him. Michael returns to the cabin and is very upset to find it damaged. He fears his uncle's reaction and tells Chris that it's completely ruined and that his uncle will surely be furious. Carrie tries to comfort him by saying that what happened was beyond their control and that their lives were at stake. She insists that the cabin doesn't matter anymore and suggests calling the police. However, Olivia stops her, saying that doing so will delay them and they'll miss the concert tickets. She insists on continuing their journey and asks everyone not to ruin her birthday plans for any reason. Everyone agrees with her and asks Carrie to calm down. They believe they are now safe and there's no need to worry. Reluctantly, Carrie complies. Sarah offers to cover the cost of fixing the cabin for Michael to prevent his uncle from getting angry. Michael is very happy and relieved, thanking her for her help. Gabby shows them a shortcut on the map, suggesting it will save them a lot of time. Everyone agrees and they get back on the cabin to continue their journey. Everything goes smoothly for a while until they completely lose signal. No one can determine their exact location or figure out the right way to go. Gabby asks Michael to focus and ensure they don't end up in the wrong place. Michael listens to all their directions and follows the suggested path while Jason tries to find a map. Meanwhile, Chris keeps joking around with the girls, annoying them. On their way, they notice a car parked on the side, empty. Carrie finds the situation very strange and tells them it's unnatural not to encounter anyone since they've been on this road, which seems abandoned. However, Gabby dismisses her concerns, asking her to stay optimistic and not think negatively. Night falls, and they are still on the same road. He stops for a while to decide which direction they will walk in, but they feel very tired and ask Michael to rest a little in this place. Carrie goes down with Michael to buy some things from a place in front of them, but they still feel that the atmosphere is a little strange and the people are not normal. The owner of the place warns them, telling them that this road is not good and asks them to turn around and come back again. When they ask him to buy food, he tells them that the place is closed, but the strange thing is that people are sitting normally and the place is actually working. Michael gets very angry with him and his voice gets louder, but Carrie calms him and takes him away because she is afraid of them. She notices a truck passing in front of them and remains silent so as not to scare her friends for nothing. Jason then tells them that the map he found describes another way, and he believes they should not trust the shop owner because he is a strange man. They all agree to continue on their way, and the girls play with each other a little while he curses their thinking. Suddenly, Michael bumps into something while driving, so he stops the car, but when he looks, he does not find anything at all. Carrie becomes very afraid that he hit something, and Gabby argues with her, asking her to be quiet because she is nervous. As they are all reading, unfortunately, the cabin appears abandoned, and Michael starts to panic, thinking about his uncle and his ruined cabin. Olivia comes with him and tries to calm him down, telling him that everything will be fine. He worries because he took the cabin from his uncle without asking permission, but Sarah reassures him, saying she can solve everything with her money. However, the situation is much worse because none of them have any signal to call for help. Michael decides to take the flashlight and go down to check the place, hoping to find someone to help them, but he is afraid because the area is very dark and eerily quiet. He tells them they did not hit a person and that it might have just been a tree branch. He notices a very large and scary forest next to them and also feels that someone is moving in front of him, so he asks Jason to start the engine to identify the problem. Suddenly, they hear a sound, and they all get scared. Michael sees someone moving in front of him, but Olivia thinks he's joking and makes fun of him until she suddenly screams in terror. None of her friends understand what is happening, and when they ask her, she remains silent, overwhelmed by shock and fear. Jason tries to calm her down, but at that moment, they hear the sound of a strange animal approaching them. Bella insists that the voice is calling Michael's name repeatedly and in a very eerie manner. They are all very scared, but also suspect it might be a prank from Michael. Jason grabs the gun and steps outside to reassure his friend. He quietly approaches the source of the sound, but finds no one. The sound appears to be coming from the direction of the forest, and as he calls Michael's name, he becomes more confused and unsure of what to do. At that moment, he turns off his flashlight, and when he turns it back on, he finds Michael standing in front of him, looking terrifying, as if he has transformed into a strange creature. The rest of the group hears a lot of gunfire and become extremely frightened, twisting and hiding while trying to figure out what is happening outside. Carrie gathers her courage and tries to look outside, unaware of a hand approaching her. The moment she sees it, she gets scared and quickly retreats. The cabin door suddenly opens by itself, yet no one is standing outside. They wait anxiously to see who has arrived, and suddenly, Jason appears in front of them, his body covered in blood as he drags someone behind him. He keeps telling them to run quickly, so Gabby rushes to close the door while her friends shut the windows. Outside, they hear the voice of a monstrous being speaking in an incomprehensible language. The sound around them quiets down, and they start to feel a bit relaxed. Suddenly, they are shocked when the doors and windows open on their own again. Carrie decides to drive them quickly away from the place, trying to start the cabin's engine, but it stops after a very short distance. They find themselves trapped in the same spot again. Someone begins pulling the cabin backward. Carrie can't see who it is. They are stopped at the same point they were before, as if they hadn't moved at all. They feel it's the end, lose hope, hug each other, and try to calm themselves to face their fate. Strangely, everything closes again, and they try to figure out what is happening to them. Gabby starts to think and accuses Michael and Jason of knowing each other for a long time, and possibly planning all this from the beginning. Carrie disagrees, saying it doesn't make sense because Michael would never harm Olivia. Gabby then suggests that Olivia might also be in on it since she's known for pulling pranks on them for years. They recall her saying that this trip would be unforgettable for everyone. Sarah starts to believe Gabby's theory, pointing out that Olivia was the first to scream and refused to say what she saw. They consider that the only person who appeared in front of them was Jason, covered in blood, which might also be part of the prank. They speculate there might not even be a concert and that Olivia made it all up to make the trip seem plausible. Eventually, Carrie starts to believe them and decides to confront Olivia. She gets up to hit her, but Gabby stops her, saying they need to win this challenge and not let Olivia triumph over them. They light cigarettes, knowing Olivia is very sensitive to smoke and will surely be affected by it. Gabby begins recording a video documenting everything they went through, explaining that it was all just a trick and a prank, nothing more. They annoy Olivia in every possible way and are surprised that she doesn't react at all. Suddenly, the sound returns, and the lights start flickering on and off by themselves. They become very scared as the sound gets closer to them. Trying to think of any way to get out of this situation, they rush to wake up Chris, who speaks while still asleep, saying terrifying things and confirming that Michael and Jason are already dead. Then, he immediately loses consciousness again, leaving them to ponder his words. Sarah thinks he might have overheard their conversation, which is why he's saying random things. Gabby wonders if there really is a predator trying to get rid of them, but none of them can identify the exact source of the sound. Carrie remembers the driver and his friend who were bothering them, and mentions seeing a truck similar to theirs parked nearby. This angers the others because she didn't mention it earlier, but Carrie insists she didn't want to scare them unnecessarily. Gabby blames her friend again, thinking they are the reason for everything happening to them, leading to a heated argument among the three. Suddenly, they find Olivia standing calmly, talking to someone on her phone. When Carrie asks her to hand over the phone to call for help, Olivia turns her back without responding. Strangely, none of them have any signal on their phones, leaving them puzzled as to how Olivia is making making a call. Moments later, Olivia vanishes from the cabin. They check her phone and find that Michael has been calling her repeatedly. Sarah answers angrily, yelling at him, only to be shocked when the voice on the other end is identical to her own, repeating her words. She sees herself standing alone on the road in the darkness and tries to rescue her and bring her back to the cabin. Unfortunately, the door jams and refuses to open as Olivia walks away in a strange manner. They call out to her, trying to warn her, but Olivia starts speaking as she walks, as though talking to Michael, telling him she came alone, just as he asked, and now they can be together again. Her friends watch from afar, unable to understand what she's doing. At that moment, several ghosts appear around Olivia. She laughs and talks to them until she suddenly regains her senses, realizes what's happening, and becomes terrified. She tries to escape, but the fog envelops her completely. Her friends feel heartbroken and blame themselves for not being able to save her. Olivia reaches the cabin door, desperately trying to get in, but her friends see another Olivia standing far away and forget about the real one. When they come to their senses, they find her at the door, asking for help. They try to open the door to save her, but Sarah refuses, fearing it might not actually be their friend and could harm them. Suddenly, Olivia's voice fades, and she disappears into the fog. Her friends feel they've let her down and are deeply upset with themselves, suspecting this isn't just a predator, but possibly something supernatural. They decide to stay in the cabin, as it seems like their only option. Suddenly, the lights flicker again, and they hear loud banging on the door. They are terrified as gunshots and glass breaking surround them. Each of them grabs a weapon to defend themselves, only to be shocked when a giant snake emerges from the closet. Carrie accidentally turns on the stove, setting the place on fire. Sarah quickly extinguishes the flames and regains control of the situation. Gabby decides to go outside alone to figure out what's happening, claiming she's athletic and can run fast to find help. She bids her friends farewell, who are extremely worried for her but have no other choice. Gabby grabs an axe, opens the door, and steps out, screaming when she sees a body lying in front of the door. Determined to save her friends, she runs as fast as she can. Meanwhile, Carrie and Sarah seal the windows and any openings that could expose them to danger, waiting anxiously for Gabby to return and rescue them. When the lights go out, they light a candle and stay close together, but every time they light it, it gets blown out, as if someone is extinguishing it. Suddenly, the cabin's screen shows a live feed of the inside of the cabin. Sarah sees herself on the screen but notices Carrie isn't visible at all, as if she doesn't exist. Moments later, the lights come back on, and Chris wakes up, asking what happened and doubting whether he's still alive. They are shocked by his words, as he jokes and reveals that Michael's uncle, Grand, owns books on magic and witchcraft and is deeply interested in these things. They tell Chris everything that happened, but he doesn't believe them and mocks them. However, when the sounds return and the lights go out, Chris finally believes something is happening and becomes terrified. Chris, who is a mechanical engineer, suggests he can fix the cabin's malfunction, but he has to go outside to do so. Sarah stays by the engine to assist him while he tries to locate the problem. He discovers that all his tools are missing and finds them scattered beneath the cabin. As he retrieves them, he is suddenly stabbed in the hand by a dagger, unsure where it came from or how it happened. He screams in pain and is dragged outside, only to calm down when he realizes it's Carrie pulling him back. She helps treat his hand and assists him in fixing the vehicle. They are overjoyed when the engine finally starts, but Sarah shocks them by revealing that the fuel tank is empty. Carrie recalls seeing Jason refueling during their stop at the rest area, so they decide to search for the gas canister cautiously. The cabin door opens on its own again, and Sarah hears Olivia calling her name repeatedly in the same tone. She tries to block out the voice and stay focused, apologizing to Chris for neglecting him and always belittling him. Chris admits that none of them ever cared about him or noticed his struggles. He reveals that his father recently passed away from cancer and that he's been going through a very difficult time, needing their support. Finally, they manage to refill the tank and the engine is ready. However, they don't hear Sarah screaming desperately for help. Her condition is deteriorating completely, and she starts seeing things that aren't there. She screams very loudly, grabs a knife, and tries to kill the person standing in front of her. She calms down when she sees Carrie in front of her and is shocked because she accidentally stabbed her in the stomach with the knife. At that moment, Chris runs when he hears her voice, but the door shuts in his face and he can't get in. He asks them to open the door quickly. The same thing that happened to Olivia happens to him exactly. Carrie hesitates, wondering if it's Chris or the ghost, and she's scared to open the door. Chris sees a car coming from afar, so he runs to stop it quickly. Both of them in the cabin see it and hold each other's hands waiting for help. Sarah apologizes for what she did, and Carrie accepts her apology. They are shocked when Chris approaches the car and it suddenly stops. They discover it's not a car at all, but the eye of a strange creature. Chris keeps running as fast as he can to escape, but in the end, he dies in a very brutal way, leaving his friends grieving over him. They stand silently, unable to do anything, and Carrie's condition worsens because of her injury. She suddenly faints, and when she wakes up, she tells Sarah that their end is inevitable and there's no escape from death. She believes they should die peacefully, rather than in this manner at the hands of an unknown creature. Suddenly, Sarah transforms into someone else and starts attacking Carrie, threatening her. She moves towards her in a very terrifying way. Carrie feels as as if someone is choking her and tries to save herself. When Sarah regains her consciousness, she approaches Carrie and calms her down, telling her it's just a dream and nothing more. But then Sarah attacks her again with a knife. Carrie becomes confused, unable to distinguish between the dream and reality. The radio suddenly turns on by itself, playing the voice of a little girl singing a Christmas song. When Carrie tries to approach it, she angrily smashes the radio. Sarah notices a pentagram tattoo on Carrie's neck and starts doubting her. The place fills with a blue mist, and they decide to leave and escape quickly. As soon as Carrie steps out, the door shuts on Sarah, trapping her inside. Carrie watches from outside as Sarah dies and her blood fills the place. The cabin starts sparking, indicating it's about to explode, so Carrie runs alone into the forest. She hears the same song everywhere, repeating continuously. She trips along the way and falls to the ground, noticing a severed leg lying there. Terrified, she gets up and keeps running until she finally reaches the highway. She sees a passing car and tries to stop it, but the same truck passes by her again. Suddenly, Carrie disappears from the entire place. A while later, a car passes through the same road, filled with a group of friends going on a trip together. They come across the cabin on their way and are surprised to find it parked and abandoned in such a place. None of them knows the danger they are walking into. The friends enjoy their time together. And here, the events of our movie today come to an end. Stay tuned for new videos and summaries. Goodbye.